Here we go. Hey, it's Sandra Pike from LePage Atlantic here in Halifax. So I've been speaking with agents, here locally within Halifax. I've spoken to agents in BC and Ontario, but I wanted to keep it to our bubble right here in Atlantic Canada. So I thought I'd reach out to three of my friends, and it just so happens that two of them are Newfoundlanders. So Karen, I don't know how you're going to deal with all us Newfies here today, but I'm sure you can hold your own. And I'll start with you, Matt. If you could introduce yourself, that'd be great, and just go on down the line.
Hi, I'm Matt Tucker. I'm from St. John's, Newfoundland. I work for LePage Atlantic Homestead, and I've been in the business for about 13 years.
Karen?
Karen Syroid in Fredericton, New Brunswick. I'm with the Syroid group with Gardner Realty, LePage. And I have been in the industry for 9 years.
9 years. Awesome. And go ahead there next.
Nevin, Hollett. I'm also in St. John's, Newfoundland. I run the Hollett group and I'm the broker for EXP Realty.
Awesome. Now we do have a connection coming in here from PEI, and as soon as he gets settled away, Nick just had a new baby. So when he gets settled away, he will join us, and we'll bring him in. Oh, he's connecting his audio. We just need him to oh, there he is, Mr. Nick. And he's coming on. What's it like to be driving in the car? And he must be so relaxed over in PEI today.
I don't think his audio's connected there
no,
yet.
It's not yet. All right, so let's just talk about the bubble that we've been in, and let's talk about why is it affecting our market the way it is? And it's not just Atlantic Canada, but it's everywhere that the market has been crazy. How has the market been for you, Karen, in New Brunswick? Is it a seller's market? Is it a balanced market? Like how has it been there?
It's absolutely a seller's market. We were in a seller's market at the beginning of 2019. All the way through to 2020, we were having the strongest year that Fredericton has seen since probably 2008. And then with COVID, the unexpected happened. It just got even stronger because we had fewer sellers wanting to come to market. All of a sudden, interest rates dropped dramatically and more buyers were coming to the table. So yeah, it's been an unprecedented year and still in a seller's market. Absolutely.
It's crazy. Welcome aboard here, Mr. Nick. How has the market been over in Charlottetown?
It's been crazy. This has been, I don't know how to explain it. It's never been like this. And, the over 10 years that I've been in the business, we've had an increase. Like when I first started about 10 or 12 years ago, it was going up about 5% a year. And these last couple of years, it's been 15 to 20% every year.
Wow.
So it's, we've probably experienced the largest growth out of any province in Canada. And yeah, it's a great time to be in real estate, but there's not as much inventory. It's a little bit lower than normal, but it's continuing to drive the prices. So it's been nuts here.
So you're having competing offers in Charlottetown as well?
All the time. Usually now when we put a listing, like we're not talking $1 million homes. If I put a listing up for $350,000 to $450,000, I can usually expect to tell my sellers, I said, look, we'll get all the showings done within a couple of days. We'll hold all offers, for 3 or 4 days and see what comes out of it and try and get the most dollar out of the buyers. So, and they most always go for asking or above.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nevin, with the market home in Newfoundland, do you see the longevity of homes being sold over ask? Do you see that going into 2021?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't think that we're going to see this kind of pace continue here. I don't think that there's anything underpinning that kind of demand. Now, and this is not a negative comment. Like we were definitely starting to see an increase. So last year, the market increased about 13% over the previous year. but 2018 was our low water mark. It was the lowest market we've ever had. So there was an increase, and the bulk of that was in the last 6 months of last year. So basically, Q3 of last year is where the tide started to turn. So we're very early in the business cycle of the market recovering, because our last year that was positive was 2013. It's been sliding down since then. So it's starting to come back. But what we've experienced here is the tale of two halves of the year. So the first half of the year here, between Snowmageddon that we had in January that created a lot of issues in the winter, which then rolled into COVID lockdown. As of the end of June, we were down 25% over the previous year, which was historically, the first 6 months of 2019 were historically bad, and we were 25% lower than that. And so now already, if we don't close another home here for the rest of the year, we're ahead of all of last year by over 100 units. We're up over 4%. So we'll finish up 7, 8, 9% over last year. But I think that was the kind of growth we were going to see. So I think that what's really going to happen here now is we're going to see activity like that again next year, but spread over 12 months instead of spread over 6. So the kind of pace that we're seeing, I anticipate it to continue, because I just don't see a driving force other than, low interest rates and the consumer behavior that has come with COVID. That's been very much about, homes and recreational property and those kind of things, non-travel. So,
yeah. So I would say that the Atlantic premiers have done a phenomenal job, with containing COVID the way they have, even though there's been some small spikes. Matt, I know you've been selling a lot in St. John's. Where would you say, when you're looking, at the clientele of the purchase and sales agreements you're getting, are they local people who are buying? Are they people, let's say, from rural communities coming in? Are they other people from outside the province? Who would you say most of the clientele are?
Well, I think we're seeing a lot of people from inside, metro area, moving up, probably finding the dream home rather than sticking in the house that they've been in for the last couple of years. I know that I did the numbers earlier, and I think it was 19% of my business this year was from out of town, which is up significantly from other years. We've seen a lot of military migrating into St. John's for whatever reason. I assume it was probably to live out a 3-year stint here, and then once the pandemic cleared up, probably move on, back to BC, Ontario, wherever they came from or wherever they're going to go next. I was surprised to see those numbers.
Are you guys selling a lot of sight unseen, or?
I've done a few, I would say under 5, sight unseen, usually a FaceTime viewing.
Have any of you experienced any American phone calls from people who are wanting to move because our COVID numbers have been so low? Has anybody received any at all?
I have.
Oh, you have? Oh, wow. From where?
I had a guy actually call me just from outside of California, right near the outskirts, right near the borderline is what he told me. And he was wanting to come here because of COVID and the shit that they're going through with their president and all that other stuff. So he was quite adamant that they were going to move to PEI, and I think for him, he's still actually in the works. I still have him as a contact. I don't call him a client until I get some money out of him. But really and truly, like this guy, he's just trying to get his financing together to be able to get a mortgage here in Canada, but because he doesn't have the cash to come right out and buy, but they do want to move here. And we've had a couple people in our office that have moved up from the States, and it is a lot of work, especially trying to just send a deposit down to make a purchase and sale agreement put together. But it's happening. PEI is a little mecca, right? Like, everybody loves PEI, so we're almost COVID free. Almost, we got a very low number, and best seafood in town. We got the greatest potatoes. We live in paradise over here in a little sandbar.
Yeah,
Who doesn't want to be here?
Nick, you have 3 Newfoundlanders on the call with you, right?
I know. That's why I said it. Oh, geez.
Well,
That's why I
Sandra,
call
it's
it
funny.
the sandbar.
Yeah.
Sandra, it's funny. I've had a lot of American inquiries on my website, and I said, "Well, why are you looking at Newfoundland?" They said, "Well, you know, the PEI seafood's so overrated."
Oh yeah, whatever. Best mussels and oysters in town, boy. Don't worry.
Yeah.
All good, man. All good.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I only had one call so far, and that was a lady from Boston looking to move here. But other than that, I would say most of the business that we've done this year have been from people in Ontario and people out in BC, if I had to look outside the province. But our military, and usually we've done a lot of military in the past, but that has been considerably low.
Okay.
So I'm going to, give you a pop question to see what you think. So I was a buyer in this market back in the summer, and I was so frustrated. And if I was my own client, I probably would have fired me. So my question for you, Matt, is would you be a buyer in your market right now? If so, why? If not, why?
I would say probably depending on my circumstances at the time. If I made a choice, probably not. Yeah. I think I would probably go by Nevin's forecast for next year, and just wait basically for the market to smooth itself out a little bit. I don't know if I would purchase a home right now if I didn't have to, but that's just me. Yeah.
And Karen, would you be a buyer in your market right now?
Well, I have kind of two thoughts on that. I mean, one, basically, considering what Matt just said, I think it depends if you're a seller as well. You're saying a lot of people are upsizing. If you're selling in this market and you're buying in this market, then the market conditions don't really matter that much, right? What matters is, I think if you're buying, your first time buyer, you're likely to pay more this year than you would have a year ago, right? But that's definitely a condition to consider. But yeah, in Fredericton, I would put it this way. We've had a softened market from 2013 to 2016. We have a very low level of volatility here with our military base and universities, and we're the capital city, and we have a huge technology sector. We're known as the Silicon Valley of the East. So our market, it usually doesn't really shift up and down like it has. So what's happened this year feels like a little bit of a correction more than an inflation. I think we've been due for this. So, I actually do think in 2021, we're going to experience the exact same kind of year we've had. We were on track this year to have a banner year prior to COVID. So yeah, I think if I were buying, I don't think if I were going to try to hold off and see if the market balances out, I think I'd be waiting a while. I think our market's been needing and expecting this regardless of COVID. So I likely would be a buyer in this market, and even better if I were selling too, because I'd probably do well on that end.
Absolutely. And Nevin, how about yourself? What are your thoughts? Would you be a buyer in your market?
Sure. And the only reason I say that, it's, pricing this year is only up 1.8%. So it's not like pricing took off so that you're having to buy high. I don't think that there's a pullback coming on pricing. And if you look at the interest rates and how historically low they are, I mean, like affordability, I would imagine we probably have the best affordability in Canada. We're usually in the top 5, with Edmonton, with some markets in New Brunswick and stuff. But the fact that a lot of Canada, we've seen much higher increases in pricing. We're 1.8%. I just ran the number before our call. So sure. I would just remind myself that the process was going to be extremely painful. Like, we've had a lot of problems here with delays on title searches, lawyers being overwhelmed, home inspectors being overwhelmed and stuff, because keep in mind, we really didn't start crunching out some big numbers until July. So the second half of our year, the pace was such that our industry couldn't process or couldn't facilitate the transactions. So, but what price do you put on you're buying at still really low prices. You're getting unbelievably low interest rates. To me, there's a lot of value there. So when you look at it, when you remove the emotion, I'd say, sure, I'd buy. But like the process was not pleasant for probably a couple thousand people this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about yourself, Nick? Would you be a buyer in your market right now?
Well, I can answer that pretty easily because I am looking to buy right now. We are, my family has grown, and the current home that I own has increased in value quite a bit. And like where I paid back in 2017, I paid $250 for it. I could probably sell it today for $4.25, $4.50. So it's kind of like I got a lot of equity built up in there, and the interest rates are phenomenal. So it's just kind of like, yeah, I might pay a little bit more, but really with the low interest rates and stuff like that happening right now, I think it's a good time. It's a good time to buy, and there is still like normally priced houses out there. Not everything's going crazy, and if I'm kind of looking in the 600 range to 650, so I kind of feel that those houses are still adequately priced. Sometimes agents will overprice them just to kind of get a listing, but after if they sit on the market for a couple of weeks, they'll kind of come down and people kind of realize it. But if you're buying, like as a new homeowner, if your budget's only $200 to $300, let's say, you pretty well got to live 10, 15 minutes. Now, remember, if you guys never been to Charlottetown, Charlottetown's very small. So like 15 minutes out of Charlottetown is like in the country. So it's just kind of like it's what we call a country. So 15, 20 minutes out of town is where you'd have to go to kind of get a home in that price range, which is a little tough for a lot of people. But, I don't think there's ever a bad time to buy. You got to get into it. And I always try and convince my clients the same. If you can do it today, do it today. Don't wait till tomorrow, because it'll probably go up again tomorrow. So you make sure you get into it when you can. That's my opinion.
Yeah, for us here in Halifax, obviously, I think in all of our markets, anything under 500,000 potentially is going into competing offers. But yeah, we looked at a house and it was 1.1, and it went competing, and wow, and it went for 1.2, and I was shocked because it was 45 minutes from city center, and so I just found that it's so funny. I don't know how about you guys in your market, but first, it was around $12,000. If you went over, you'd make the deal happen. Then it went up to 20. And now it's, for most properties here that are going over asking, I'm telling a buyer, you're at a minimum of $50,000.
Oh my God.
Really? Oh yeah. I had a small place out here in Spryfield, and it went at $299. It went $72,000 over asking. And there was another property here in the West End that went $106 over asking. So it's, and we've been on a property with another client, and we were $75,000 over, and we still didn't get it. So
are those homes priced according to market, or are they underpriced in order to bring in multiples?
No, they're priced accordingly. Because when I looked at that one out in Terrence Bay, I mean, when I looked at the price, 1.1, beautiful house, 6,000 square feet, and right on the ocean, and so obviously any oceanfront property up our way is going to be over $1 million. And the fact that it went for 1.2, it was I was shocked that it would have went that high over. But that's the it's so funny. It just keeps creeping up. Again, yeah, like 50,000, you could have won over asking. And
so I guess the question I got for what you're saying there, Sandra, are you having any issues with appraisals? Because if the house is being priced based on market data and being priced based on recent sales, and then are receiving offers that much significantly over the list price, which the list price is not a falsified low list price, what's happening with the financing? Like, how are the appraisers reconciling this? Are you having any issues there?
Great question. So I was speaking with an appraisal the other day, and I said, how's the market been like? Are there a lot of deals falling? And him and his partner, they've been around the block for some time in appraisals, and they've only had one each. Now, my girlfriend the other day out of Beaverbank, when we were doing a panel like this, she had a deal fall and it was over, I think it was $10,000–15,000. So the buyer and seller just met in the middle. But usually the appraisers are saying here that the appraised value of a home is what someone is willing to pay for it, which is unlike things you've ever heard. Yeah.
Mm.
So it'll be interesting what'll happen in a few years from now. I mean, most agents don't think that our market isn't going to change, but I approach it very cautiously. And if it were me right now as a buying client, I made the decision myself to purchase new construction because that was the safest price. That I knew that I wasn't potentially going to be competing with anybody. And I can just go in and get what I wanted. And so that was a decision that we made here. Yeah. Anybody else have any final thoughts of, the market or anything else?
You said that you're doing, you decided to go with a brand new construction. Yeah. Here, you'd have to wait almost 1.5 to 2 years to get your house built if you wanted to go that route. And the price of, the materials, like a 2x4, has gone up almost 3 times what it was 7 or 8 months ago. So it's like 8 something now for a 2x4, where before it was like a little over $2. So people are just, and then you gotta get a builder who can build this thing within a reasonable amount of time. It's very hard. There's still some new construction being built, but it's just not. And you're right, it is more of you're paying a true dollar amount, but we find that a lot of people are buying a pre-existing home because I think it's usually cheaper. It still is less money than getting one built today. So, and they're renovating them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So we know that our build, based on, I work with 4 builders currently, and we know that a build is anywhere between now 8 and 11 months. So I know that.
Not bad.
But
that's not bad.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't be in the 2-year point, no. So I'm perfectly okay with that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to be. So Karen, any final thoughts, to where we're headed?
Where we're headed? Well, New Brunswick is a wonderful place to be. And our prices are still so reasonable to get in, even in the climate that we're in, because, Atlantic Canada has been the sweet spot. And I think the rest of Canada is really seeing that this year. We've had, in the past, people would consider the East Coast as a place where their money goes further, but it's not just about that anymore. Your money goes further, that's true. But our lifestyle and what we have here and what we all enjoy, the secret's out across Canada. And that is really, really something, that has come out of this year. The number of calls and clients that are coming from Ontario, unreal.
Yeah.
And it's the lifestyle. They're stuck in a condo paying $3,000 a month in mortgage. Well, they can get a $450,000 house here, on a piece of land, at fresh air to breathe. They have, access to, amenities and stuff during COVID that you couldn't have in a much larger market. So that's been a really good thing, for our markets. All of us on this call have experienced that this year. And the way that COVID has been managed has been so good. So, where East Coast is welcoming people this year.
I would have to agree. Again, I applaud the premiers. Everybody did a great job. How about yourself, Nevin?
Yeah, no, my thought is that it's been a surprising year. I think if the 5 of us would have got on Zoom back in March and made our predictions of what we thought were happening, I think would have been a completely different conversation. So just shows that we do our best to advise and guide our clients, but we don't have a crystal ball. I don't think anybody saw this year coming the way it did. So it's great to see. I do think that we're going to be in a low interest climate for a long time, which I think that there's not going to be, whether or not markets go back a little, there's not going to be any sharp drop off. you know, money is just too easy to access and too cheap right now. So I'm just, I'm honestly just looking forward to a fresh start in January, a new year, and to carry forward with our market and serving the community.
And how about yourself, Nick, and PEI?
What were you guys? What was the question again? Just so I answer it right.
Where
just
do
got
you?
A coffee.
Oh, I know. Where do you see your market? You know, coming up. You know, coming up next year, or any final thoughts on you know, your market right now?
I think we're going to continue to be pretty strong. We have I think you guys probably all heard of the PNP program, the provincial nominee program. That's been a very good program here in PEI, where it brings in a lot of foreigners to the island. It seems like PEI is an easier gateway for people to get their citizenship, and you know, and stuff like that. Kind of, you know, it's really what boosted the economy here. So we were really considered in a housing crisis, or they kind of still say that about us, where vacancy rate was 0.5% or less. And so if you put in apartments, like a 2-bedroom apartment, are going for anywhere between $1,500 and $1,800, which seems like a crazy amount of money for a little city like Charlottetown. And so they're developing programs. They're giving money to developers with nonprofit agencies and stuff like that. So we have like I don't know, we have so many people moving here that I don't see it ever changing for at least a couple of 2 or 3 years, 4 years anyway. So that we got over 1,500 to 1,800 apartments being built currently at this moment. UPEI is doing a huge renovation. Let's see if I can show you that. Look at that. So that's our university right there. That's UPEI. And we got a new pizza chain going right there called Blaze Pizza. So UPEI is building a whole new wing on the place, which is pretty incredible. But I don't see it changing at all. I think it's only going to get stronger here. And from the way people are, the buzz and all that sort of stuff, like I was talking to a buddy of mine, he's got 16 deals already in the works to close for January and February. So I can't see it slowing down.
And how about yourself, Matt? What are your final thoughts?
Well, I think that I'm going to be cautiously optimistic that, you know, we are not going to see any major changes in the market going into 2021. You know, as long as inventory stays kind of at the level it is, we're down about 20% from 2019. I feel like if we kind of stay at these numbers, people are still a little bit cautious about listing their houses. So I think that's where we're seeing that drop in inventory. You know, interest rates, like Nevin said, I feel like we're going to be in that low interest rate environment for quite a while. So, you know, that's positive. I really don't see any major changes going into 2021, but you know, I didn't think this was going to happen in 2020 either. So there's no real explanation for what's gone on in Newfoundland anyway over the past year.
I would say that's across the country. No one had any idea. Well, guys, you know what? It's been so great to connect again. I mean, we're usually in conferences or seeing each other, or we're in PEI or Newfoundland, and this year certainly has been different. So thank you for joining me. Take care, guys.
Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for putting this together, Sandra. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Take care.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Take care.
Merry Christmas.